Yes.
Right.
Those that run their mouths on God's anointed, not knowing what the sacrifice has been made, not knowing the things that have been given up to serve and walk after God. They will be under the water too. Okay. He said, lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life are the things you will be fighting every day of your life. Every day. See, listen, it's very simple. Those who goes, oh no, listen. You're either fighting those things or you're fully submitted to those things. That's it. While you're here on earth, you're either fighting those three things or you're just full-blown doing those three things. That's it. There's no in between. That's what they get mad. Everything for me is black and white. That's all I see. Black and white. You either are or you're not. It reminds me of the movie. How many of you guys seen Amistad?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a scene in the movie Amistad where the translator, the white man, is trying to translate about a decision made by the Supreme Court having to do with their freedom. And they had thought they had ruled that they won. Then they came back and changed the ruling. So the white man had to try to interpret this to the Africans. So he was trying to tell the translator, he was telling them, well, you know, we almost won. And so he was the African started manifesting. He started manifesting. And he was like, what's wrong? He said, tell him what he said. There is no word for almost in our language. You either do or you don't. He could not interpret halfway or compromise or gray area. In their language, there was no word for lie. In between, we almost won. That did not exist. So that's how we're supposed to be. Anyways, he said, that's why you must render your will. You can serve Christ and live, or do your will and die. That's simple. You can serve Christ and do his will, or you can do your will and die. That's what it boils down to. He said, have God life in abundance. He said, when you hear God, it's always shocking. Oh, and I put this in here today for you. You told me to remind you, Dad, preach out of Joshua 14. I put that in my notes too. All the commandments are filled in one. Love God, love your neighbor. Love God, love your neighbor. If you love God, you automatically love your neighbor. That goes for the Christians that I don't talk to that one, or I can't stand that one, or I don't want to this one till you said that and said. If you love God, you love your neighbor. So if you can't forgive, you don't love. And if you can't forgive, God will not forgive you. And we talked about this many times. If you're not forgiven, you can't go to heaven. You cannot go to heaven without forgiveness. Think about that deeply. You cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven with unforgiveness. And we have so much unforgiveness for such stupid things. It's sickening. Such small, petty, stupid, sandbox, childish reasons we hold unforgiveness. It's sad. He said, this ministry is increasing by decreasing. You understand that? Well, those that don't, I'm about to tell you. He said, this ministry is increasing by decreasing. We are still in the Gideon principle. Now, many people in church don't even know who Gideon was. So therefore, you can't get anything I just said. Because you don't read about Gideon. if you read about Gideon's life, then you understand, oh, when he had 30,000 men, God said he had too many.
Wow. Right.
And then he started shaping them by the thousands.
Right.
And they were fighting an army that was 120,000.
Say it.
So that doesn't make any sense. 135,000. Way outnumbered either way.
Right.
From 30,000 to 300.
Right.
Then God said, now think about how drastic of a change that is.
Right.
You go from 30,000 men to 300, and you're fighting 135,000. You already had a lost cause with 30,000 men.
Right.
You already know in your mind carnally, we're done. I love you, honey. You say goodbye to your wife and your children. You know you won't be back. With 30,000, with 300. That shows you God's mindset. You know why? Let me tell you why. The reason why was because all those opinions and no straight plumb lines had to be removed. Meaning, God cannot use all those numbers because their plumb line was not straight. Right. Meaning, he needed, with him, he can do much more with 300 that listen, submit, and obey his will than he can with 30,000 that want to do things their way. And guess what? He sent them through obstacle courses. He said, go and ask which ones are afraid. Probably, I think there was probably about 20,000 that may be afraid. 20,000. He said, if you're afraid, go home. You're no good. Go home. So imagine the faith Gideon had to have when he sees 90% of his army in fear leaving. You think he was encouraged? You think he was like, yeah, I'm going to get it done now? No, he was like, Lord, what do you expect me to do? The God said, no, but that's not it. I have another test for him. Send him down to the lake, the river, whichever body of water it was, and have them drink. And see which ones keep their eyes up. Drink like this. Or in the water.
That's like a dog.
Like a dog.
Dog people.
The ones that put their face down in the water, they're no good either. So they're not afraid, but they're not battle tested. So they weren't afraid. First, God removes the fear. If you're a fearmonger, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, were you afraid or are you not afraid? All right, if you're afraid, go ahead and go. Now, okay, oh, you are not afraid. Okay. Now, how many of you are ready to fight? If you put your face down in the water, you're not ready to fight. If you're not keeping your eyes on the enemy, you're not ready to fight. So guess what? If your plumb line is not right, then you can't have your eyes forward. Listen, you're supposed to be able to see what the enemy when he's coming. You're supposed to see when he comes. The more dialed in your plumb line is, the less surprises he has. The more your compass is in tune, the less blind sides he can hit you with.
Amen.
All right, I'm wrapping it up, brother.
Amen.
He said, we are still in the Gideon principle. That means you must renew your mind to this principle. That means when somebody bounces, it should not affect you. You should know immediately. That's like it takes, oh, did you know that so-and-so bounced? So what? You're talking to the wrong person. I've been watching them bounce since I was like Samson. That's 2 in 1 month. I've seen 50 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's right.
We've seen hundreds in a year.
That's right. That's right.
So, but guess what? I learned about Gideon when I was probably about 5 or 6.
Right.
So it's not a shock.
Right.
I understand when they're not with us. They're not with us, they're not ready to fight. They're afraid. They are not ready to give their will up. They're not ready to sacrifice all. I understand. They're not all in. So I'm glad they left. Because they keep an opening for us to get attacked. Listen, when all of our shields are up, the enemy can't penetrate. But if you got one with their shield down talking about, I don't like the way that the bishop is marching us this way and my feet hurt, and kill them and throw them to the side so we all don't get killed. That's the way I think. Sorry, I know that's not cordial thinking. But listen, I don't want to die. I don't want the people I love to get massacred. So if I see an opening in you, that's why they get mad. If I see an opening in you, I'm addressing it. Pick your shield up. Sharpen your sword. Your sword's got frostbite on it. You can't even pull it out the sheath. Oil it up. Get it ready every night. Every night you should be sharpening your sword. Every night you should be polishing your shield. Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day. This is not a game. We're not here playing. We do damage to the enemy. We slaughter demons. That's why they can't stay here. That's what this ministry is about. And we do it all with the love of God. Woo. Love is the foundation. Love is the principle that this ministry was established on. Love delivered my father. Delivered him from out of the hands of the enemy. It was Jesus' love that brought him back. That's why he's here. But he is the captain. And I'm the co-captain. And my mother. I don't know, Dad. My dad will let you know how that goes. But, yeah, we're going straight. And we want everyone to make the run. We don't want nobody, listen, people think we want people to bounce. We don't want anybody to bounce. We do get sad because we're sad because we know what's going to happen to them. We know what's going to happen in their lives. And we try to prevent that. That's why we tell you, surrender your will. We're surrendering ours. We're not telling nobody to do nothing that we don't have to do ourselves. So, you remember follow the leader in school? Follow the leader. Welcome to Bishop.
May be seated. Glory to God. A couple of things. Big Jeff said about Nolan, and I believe that was right. I believe that was prophetic what he said. I had believed that for some time. But what I do is I don't put titles on people because what difference does it make? You're going to do what you call to do. So I believe that Nolan is a pastor. I believe he has a pastor's heart. For the people that God has given him. And that's the praise and worship team. And he does care for them. And so does Charlotte. So I do appreciate that in him, but I do say that he is a pastor. So Big Jeff is right on both things he said, the pastor and the minister of music, because he is both.
That's right.
I wanted to say something about Gabriel. Let me see, I had a scripture that I told John, I pulled it out in the spirit. I want to make sure this is right. I'm looking in the wrong spot, John. I looked over in 1 John instead of Peter. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Right on the money, John. Where's it? Okay, yeah, good job. Okay, about Gabriel. First of all, I named Gabriel.
Right.
Gabriel means messenger of God.
Right.
Gabriel's name means messenger from God.
Yes.
I named him because I knew what he would be. All my children we name because we know what they would be. And we might have missed it with Clifton because we were going to name him Michael. Because he wanted to name him Michael. And I was not at the place of, this is real time. I come from the place where you actually don't like your name because of foolishness. There's so many Michaels, so many people named Michael. And so I didn't even know what my name meant back in those days. But Cookie said to me, let's name him Michael. And so actually he does have that name. We just named him Clifton, but in the spirit, he is named Michael because if you watch his life and how he orders his life and his family, he has done the same as me. So I just want to get that little point out there. I already told you about my daughter and how we named her. And then I named Gabriel because I knew he'd be a messenger. And then I named him Michael. I named him Gabriel Michael. So there's no slippage. And if you don't understand nor believe about the name, I do not care. It is what it is, and it's proven in the scriptures that the people that were named they functioned by what their name was given them, whether they were child of God or child of Satan. And so it's the same today. Some of you sit here that don't even know what your name means.
That's true.
That's right.
But anyway, so I wanted to say that about Gabriel. Then when I see him flowing and moving in the power of the Spirit, and I remember back when the prophets prophesied over him, which the first prophet was me and Cookie. And then the other prophets that came that we love, because I always have loved the prophets as I was a pastor. Evangelist first and then moved into the pastor. And then I fought the pastor, never wanted to be a pastor. God forced that on me. And I never wanted to be a pastor. I never wanted to be a leader of a work. That's not just me. I didn't want because I saw the church and the condition of the church. And how the church, and not you guys, but how people just they're zombies actually. They eat one another in the church. And so, and then I saw what they did to the pastor's wife. And I said, I'm not going to have nobody doing that to my wife. I'm going to kill him. That's real time. But anyway, that's another issue. So I named Gabriel, and I remember when we put him up the first time, and I remember, I think it was 12. And the reason why I did that because I know that the Jewish kids got their bar mitzvah at 12. And so that's why I said, well, it's time for him to get to the pulpit. And so we put him up at 12 years old, and he got up and he had his suit on, and he ministered just like he does now, except he was 12. And it's just, I can't even put words on how I feel when I see my children. How I feel when I see Clifton, who is Michael, order the heap. He sets the house in order. That's what Clifton is. That's who he is. I'm talking about this house, the church. Doesn't matter what building we take, he sets it in order so we can conduct the move of the Spirit. So it's just magnificent to see it. And when you do surrender to God, and you have the mate, which is your wife, or a wife has a husband, and you do that, what God will do because of it.
Amen. Amen.
Anyway, so that's, I want to give you a scripture in 1 Peter. Oh, but I want to say something about Jose. I miss Jose.
Yeah.
But we're praying, and I've set a chain